Good day, everyone. I am Rose B. Campana. We are the Group 2, and the topic that we are going to talk about is all about eco-literacy. So it has three subtopics, namely eco-literacy and sustainable development. Second is the 7 environmental principles, and the third one is making school dark green school and environmental education. So first, let's talk about eco-literacy and sustainable development. Eco-literacy or ecological literacy, it is the ability to understand the natural system that makes life on Earth possible. To be eco-literate means understanding the principles of organization of ecological communities, for example, our ecosystems, and using those principles for creating a sustainable human communities. Eco-literacy tackles a major role in our society nowadays. It is to educate and bring awareness to the people to understand, preserve, and promote our environment to have a better place to stay. So by promoting awareness to the society, it enables us to patch up or bring solution to the damages that we have caused to our mother nature. Being eco-literate doesn't just end on learning by reading articles or understanding the environment, but it is about doing actions by becoming part of changing the nature in a good way. Despite the fact that we were progressing, we have a booming economy, new inventions, new discoveries, but we humans tend to neglect what was our duties and responsibilities towards our mother nature. So let's be part of the solution and not be the problem. Example, by understanding the cause and effect of global warming, we can lessen its effect by avoiding burning plastics, cutting down of trees, and improper waste disposal. For sustainable development, it is the overarching paradigm of the United Nations. The concept of sustainable development was described by the 1987 Brundtland Commission report as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. But sustainable development is about more than just the environment. It is about meeting the diverse needs of different communities to create a better quality of life and future for all. Specifically, sustainable development is a way of organizing society so that it can exist in a long term. Example, the crop rotation. This can be used to improve and maintain the good physical, chemical, and biological conditions of the soil. Crop rotation is both beneficial to the environment and to the farmer. The rationale behind crop rotation is when the same crop is grown at the same place for several years, the soil is depleted of certain nutrients. So by using this method, the sustainability of food, the soil, and other raw material will increase. Let us bring change and be the change that we want to see. And hand in hand, we can make this world a better place to live in.
Sustainable development is the continuous development of technology, infrastructure such as transformation systems, communication networks, and lifestyle of people, which in return creates a major waste disposal issue. So in order to address the issue, we tend to find alternatives which are for more or less harmful or destructive to the environment. It also finds a way on how to sustain not just the present generation but also for the next generation to come, such as estimating if the current resources we have would last up to how many years depending on our consumption, enable us to maximize opportunities and resources. So there are 4 dimensions of sustainable development. So first is the society. Example of this is the global challenge for government transparency, the Sustainable Development Goals or the SDG 2030 Agenda, which agreed by 195 nations in 2015, which includes eliminating poverty, erase hunger, and other societal issues that commonly face in each country today. Next dimension of sustainable development is the environment. So example of this is is the proper waste disposal, maintaining genetic diversity, seeds, cultivated plants on a farm, and domesticated animals and the related wild species. Other dimension of sustainable development is the economy. The example of this is the goal of sustainable development, which ensure that all men and women, in particular the poor and the vulnerable, have equal right to economic resources as well as access to basic services, ownership and control over land and other forms of property, inheritance, natural resources, appropriate technology and financial services, including microfinance. One might ask, what is the difference between sustainable development and sustainability? One might ask, what is the difference between sustainable development and sustainability? Well, sustainability is often thought of as a long-term goal. Example of this is the more sustainable world, while sustainable development refers to the many processes and pathways to achieve it. Example is a sustainable agriculture and forestry, sustainable production and consumption, good government research and technology transfer, education and training, and etc.
Let's talk about the 7 environmental principles. First principle, nature knows best. The most basic principle of all principles. We humans have to understand that nature has to follow its rules to ensure a continuous and steady supply of resources. Any disruption caused by human activity can bring imbalance to our ecosystem. Example of this is burning of farm waste instead of allowing it to decompose naturally. In burning, most organic matter are lost, and thus the combustion emitted in the atmosphere causes carbon dioxide buildup, resulting to global warming or the greenhouse effect. Second principle, all forms of life are important. Each organism plays an essential role in nature. An example of this are the bacteria. Most of us think that bacteria are those that cause diseases, or the pathogenic one. But actually, they are essential to life. They decompose the food we eat, help make the nutrients available to us. And also, by decomposing dead organic matter, they contribute to soil structure and cycle of nature. Third principle, everything is connected to everything else. In an ecosystem, all biotic and abiotic components interact with each other to ensure that the system is sustained. Example of this is the food web or the food cycle. It is the natural interconnection of food chains, implying the transfer of energy from its source, plants, to herbivores to carnivores. The food web naturally balances the population of the organisms to ensure that the system is sustained. Fourth principle, everything changes. The nature is constantly changing. Organisms also develop through time. However, with our current technology, we have affected the natural changes. Ecosystems dance as their components compete, react, evolve, migrate, and form new communities. Evolutionary changes that improve a particular species' adaptation. For instance, depleted food sources might change migration patterns. They need to cope and adapt with their environment for them to survive.
Hello everyone, I am Geraldine Pidiholte and I am assigned to continue the report of Ms. Daguhoy about the 7 environmental principles. I will discuss the 3 remaining principles, which is the everything must go somewhere, ours is a finite earth, and nature is beautiful and we are stewards of God's creation. I hope you listen well and let's proceed to the discussion. Let me discuss first the 5th principle. This picture here is the best representation of the principle, everything must go somewhere. I believe this principle means that everything that we throw away like pieces of paper, leftover food, peelings of fruits, plastic wrappers, and used containers have to go somewhere. And based on the picture here, that somewhere can be an ocean. It doesn't just disappear. Maybe it disappears from our sight, but does not cease to exist. Even gases released in the atmosphere may spread, but it will end up a component of the atmosphere and can be brought down by rains. Therefore, any particular type of waste should always be a concern to us. We should always be a responsible person and throw our trash in a proper place. The sixth principle is ours is a finite earth. In Tagalog, ang kalikasan ay may hangganan. Everything that we need is provided by nature in abundance. Food, water, energy, minerals, and air. However, some resources that we depend upon nowadays are extracted excessively but are slow to replace. We all know that Earth's resources can be classified as either renewable or non-renewable. Renewable resources are those that can be easily replenished by natural cycles, such as water, air, plants, and animals, while non-renewable resources are that cannot be replenished through natural cycles. Although renewable resources can be replenished, it is important to understand that these are renewable only if they are not overused and not destroyed from factors such as pollution. If we don't want our Earth to be exhausted like that in the future, we need to adopt the philosophy of sapat. It means that we should buy and consume only what we need and leave some for the less privileged and the next generation. And of course, last but not the least, nature is beautiful and we are stewards of God's creation. The picture really wants us to send a message that we humans should take care of the nature because honestly speaking, humans cannot exist without nature. We are co-natural with the environment we live in because among all creatures, humans are the only ones made in God's image and have been given the right to have dominion over all His creations. Being the most intelligent and gifted with reasons, humans are capable of manipulating creation to their own advantage. Yet, creation exists not to be ravaged or abused, but to be taken care of. If we all be reconciled, then maybe we can make this world a better place to live in. I think that would be all for the 7 environmental principles. Thank you for listening. I will give the spotlight now to our leader. Chomp, the floor is yours.
Good day everyone, I am Champagne Historius and I will be the last to talk on our report of eco-literacy, and my subtopic will be tackling about making schools dark green schools about environmental education, or DGS. So DGS is the abbreviation for the dark green school. Okay, so dark green schools are schools that have developed a good practice for their environmental education. The example is they have applied or implied to their not just extracurricular activities but into their academics as well, or they find ways to inculcate this practice of taking good care of Mother Nature. So DGS are schools that are advocates for promoting more greener spaces in the school, proper planning on how to use their land areas. They are also great conservators, or they conserve materials, energy, and other resources that is being used in the school. They are also advocates in proper waste management, segregation, and proper disposal. So they want to avoid using single plastic materials, or let's say they want to at least minimize the use of pollutant elements. DGS schools are also advocates in the respect for others' rights to having a smoke-free air. So of course, who wouldn't want a smoke-free air, right? Where you could breathe freely, you could breathe deeply, you could breathe and feel the love of Mother Nature. Yeah, so breathing is one way in breathing Mother Nature. So who are involved in DGS? So first of all, people who are involved are the teachers, the students, the faculty and staff of the institution, and then of course the community that they are in, and also private sectors who are advocates too for DGS are also one of the integral parts in making a DGS a DGS. So they have interaction on between. They have interaction as to, for example, preparing a cleanup drive or having a symposium on waste management. So everyone is involved, from the public sector to the private sector. The big question now is, how can a school achieve the state of being a DGS or a dark green school? So first of all, we have components. So we have self-actualization and assessment. So self-actualization is implementation. You have a plan, you put it into action, and then implementation does not only mean that you apply it to a specific person, a specific group of persons, but you apply it to everyone. You want them to follow the order so that, there will be a peaceful interaction. And then we have assessment from the root word assess. So you have to assess if those implementations have been followed. Are there any good results or good outcomes to those implementations, and what are their ways, to make it better. Now, the next component in order to achieve the state of being a DGS is school visitation and comparison. So, of course, there will be school visitations as to see what the other schools are performing to on their ways. So, what are their methods to achieve also DGS. So therefore, you can see each other's tactics, each other's ways, and then you can compare and contrast as to which would be more effective, or which would be more, have more impact in making those changes and implementations. Then comparison, as you compare, is as to what happens with the implementations. You compare if did it get better or was it stagnant. So a good example of a DGS school, as to what I have seen, or for my observation, we have this CSU itself. So CSU Alumni Practice Blogging advocate environmental protection and sustainability, or they go the acronym of CSU AAI. So they have been advocating in environmental protection and sustainability for years now. So they have projects already. They had performed tree planting activities, cleanup drives, and so many more. And also, I believe that CSU is considered as a DGS school because, of course, it has courses that is literally connected in taking care of nature, such as BS agriculture, forest, and then forestry. So, as what I can see, also with and also I believe that Caraga State University could be considered as a DGS school because the place itself, for those who have seen Caraga State University with their own eyes, that Caraga State University is such a green school. They have grasslands, forest areas, they have garbage facilities on most every corners. I mean, they have garbage segregation on almost everywhere you look. You can find trash cans which are labeled for segregations, and then also you can see that there are regular people who cleans the school. So I believe that Caraga State University is a DGS school. And for me, I firmly believe that this DGS movement, or Dark Green Schools movement, is a very good initiative, and I hope that it would be implemented not just to Butuan City only or Caraga region, but for the whole nation and also for the whole world, because it would also be just us and our future generations to come would benefit to these kind actions towards nature. Taking care of nature now is also like taking care of the future generations to come. And I believe that together, let us help in making this world a better place. Thank you.